So today we're going to actually talk about some troubleshooting techniques. And in this video, we're going to actually cover some of the techniques that you would use to create what I call a toggle save, which basically means you have text boxes here. You're inputting data into your gallery. And then this toggle right here is saying if a change occurred in here, then when we click on save, let's go ahead and use a patch command and save that data. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through how to troubleshoot this in the event it's not working. So this one happens to be working, but a lot of the troubleshooting techniques may help you troubleshoot your way. If for some reason a common problem is that it's always on, that means that something's wrong, right? It's always finding a condition that's changed. That means probably you got a field typed in there wrong. So we're going to backward engineer this and show you how to troubleshoot this. So stay tuned. This is a great video for troubleshooting issues with saving gallery data using text input fields. Okay, so here we have a very basic gallery. As you can see right here, we have a gallery called data, and it's very simple. We have topic name and we have text note. Okay, now notice when you click on here, this box here, so the first thing we want to do is make sure that everything inside of our gallery is identified. Excuse me, everything within the tree view is identified within the gallery. So here, for example, you see here where it says text note. Notice here that the item, this item that I'm collecting is called note, which is the name of this field that I'm looking at right here, note. So the reason why we do this is because when we set up and start troubleshooting, especially when we're using a patch command and a toggle to see if a value has changed inside of a box, we want to make sure that we're looking at the right pieces of information. So I always go through and rename these text boxes as to what they are within the list. In this case, we're using a list. It could be any data source, by the way. So here, topic name. So I try to annotate the case as well. So notice this is lowercase. This is an uppercase N and note. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. Make sure you do that, and do that with all of them. So pause the video. Make sure all of your tree view here is named properly. All right. Second thing is the concept here is we're adding and I'm kind of giving you an overview. So if you haven't built one of these, then you're going to get an overview of how to build one of these. And then we're going to go back and do some troubleshooting. But here, for example, this is the default. Notice we're in default here. And basically what this is saying is, hey, whatever's in the list, which is this item note, that's the list item, compare that. If it's not equal to the text note, which is right here inside the tree view, which is this one right here, this green one, then we're going to make this a condition that's going to say true. Okay, so if it's not equal, it's going to equal true. If it's equal, meaning that no change occurred within this box, then it's false. And this should say false. Should not be marked as true. Okay, and this is automatic. So we want this automatic because we're going to key in on this on the save. So if you haven't done this yet, pause the video and hook this up. It's under default for your text for this toggle right here. We're pointing to these text boxes that we've input here, and then this is an OR command. You could use OR, by the way. Doesn't matter. Okay. So we're saying if this one or this one or this one, and I have some that are 20 long, 20 items long. Okay, so do that. That's the next step. All right, now we want to save this. To save it, we're going to do an on select. So when we do on select, we're going to save this data. And let's go ahead and expand this down. So here we have, we're going to use this command. So if you haven't done this yet, pause the video and do this. Okay, so here what we're pointing at is the gallery itself. Notice gal data, all items. So we're going to look, basically we're saying, hey, look at gallery, gal data, and look at all of these fields. And if the toggle value is equal to true, remember we just set this, so rewind the video by about a minute if you missed that part. But if the toggle 3, right there, toggle 3, which is this guy right here, toggle 3, if it is set to true, remember we talked about this, if it's set to true, then I want you to patch this list right here, notes. And I want you to patch these fields. Again, a reason why we want this information here, we want to be able to patch those fields. So if I wanted to add another one, I would just add a comma, and I'd put it in here, and I'd look down here, and I'd see, okay, what's the next field? I want to do topic name. So I'm just going to, topic name. Okay, there it is right there. I'm going to hit the tab key. And then, of course, I know because I'm using my text box, I'm just going to do that. It's going to come up with topic name right there. I use my arrow keys, then my tab key, and it's a text field. I'm going to put in text, and then I'm going to close with the squiggly. Now, I usually add them one by one, just like this, so that I can make sure I'm not getting any reds. Because if you add a value in here, like a numeric value, a date, a choice, one of the more what they classify more as complex fields, then you have to do it a little different. See other videos I have. We're not talking about that in this video. So that's it, okay? And then we're saying, hey, refresh that when you get it done, and then that's it. So that's how you set it up. So if you haven't set this up, stop the video, go back and review the past 5 minutes and set this up, because we're going to troubleshoot this now, because not everything is fair here. So let's go ahead and look at that. So how do we troubleshoot it? Now, this is not all-inclusive, by the way. So we're going to walk through some common areas that have kind of the gotchas for me, because I use this save column, this save data, toggle save is what I call it. I use it frequently. So this is just kind of, if something's not working, these are usually the, oh, duh, you should have checked that. So the first one we're going to check is to make sure that we have the right field identified. Okay, so here, this is, we're looking at those not equal to, right? This is this right here. We're looking at the toggle, right? So we're troubleshooting the toggle in this occurrence. And we're going to make sure that the value is right and that everything is correct here, okay? So we're just going to double check to make sure the field is right and to make sure that this text is right. So that's the first thing you need to do. Second thing you need to do is, and then again, I have complex fields. Look at other videos where I discuss complex fields. The next thing we want to do is check to make sure that we're calling the right column within the list. So sometimes we're looking at this and we're forgetting what the field is named, or we've gone ahead and copied this list. Perhaps if you're using SharePoint list, this happens more than you want to have it happen. You copy the SharePoint list and it gives another name for the field, although the column name will appear as this, the field name is actually different. So let's take a look, see what I'm talking about here. So if I go into my list here, notice I have all the lists. Remember, if I go up to here and I say list settings, I'm going to list, it's going to list out for me all the settings related to this list. And let's just look at note, for example. Now, I don't think I have any examples of where it's kind of wonky, but we'll look at it right here. So if we look at note by clicking on note, notice first of all, you want to take note of what type, no pun intended there, by the way. You want to take a look and see what type of field it is, because remember I told you that we're concerned about complex fields, okay? So we're going to need to account for that if it's a complex field. So here, we want to make sure it's not a complex field. So if it's a text field, that's not complex. That's a standard field. And this one happens to be multiple lines of text. We're going to click on it here. And then we're going to look here. Let me go that down there a little bit. Okay, we're going to look here, and we're going to make sure that the field is the same as being represented as a column name. Sometimes right here, notice here at the end, see where it says field equals note? So that means that that is the field name, okay? So the field name is what we're expecting. So if we go over to here and we can see, whoops, we gotta go back over to that document where we're troubleshooting this. We wanna make sure that these match. So that equals that, okay? So that's how you do that inside of SharePoint. Now, if for some reason it still doesn't work, right, we're just kind of working our way down through this, we can take the content of this column here, let's say note here, and we want to create a new column called note because we're troubleshooting to see if there's something else that's kind of wonky about what we're doing here. Now, this doesn't make sense all the time, but let's just create a new column, and we're going to call it note 2. Okay, and we're gonna keep it as multi-lines of text, and we're gonna hit OK here. All right, and then we're good to go. Now we're gonna go back to notes here, and we're gonna say, hey, look, we want to take notes 2, okay, which is right down here somewhere. Okay, there's notes 2, note 2. We're gonna move it over next to that guy. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, I want to copy all of the text here. Now, I happen to have 326 records here. So this is an arduous task sometimes. So this may not, if this is 10,000 records, this strategy may not work. But in case it does, this is the way you would do it. So here we're just going to click on view here. Now, we're troubleshooting this way. We're creating a new field and copying the content. We're going to close Power Apps, restart, and see if the error continues. So if there's something else going on, we're going to eliminate, what we're trying to do here is eliminate the possibility of this being an error inside of SharePoint. So here we can just do Control-V. We kind of selected here, we did Control-A, Control-C, and then we go here, Control-V, hit OK, and it copies it. We can do mass copies if we want. We're going to click once on this cell. Notice I didn't click twice. That's clicking twice. We're going to click once. Now, if you're concerned about clicking once, click into an adjoining cell. Use your arrow key on your keyboard, and then just click. Then just move over with your arrow key. And then we're going to hold down the Shift key, and we're just going to go down. Okay, I'm just using the down arrow key, and I've copied a few. And then I'm going to hold down the Control key and hit C for copy. Okay, now I could do that for 10,000 records if I wanted to. So C for copy. Okay, we're going to go back up to where that record started, which is here. Now this is also important. Make sure, again, notice here that I'm using my arrow keys. I went to the right. Now I'm going to go back to the left to make sure I didn't accidentally double click. You see, if I double click in there, it's going to take all of this copied content and put it in one cell, and I don't want that. So here, again, right click, right arrow, left arrow, Control V, and it's going to post everything in its right cell. Now, if for some reason we didn't do that right here, and we clicked on here, right, we're clicking and we accidentally clicked, and we do it twice, notice here that it's inputting all of the text from all of these cells, into one cell. We don't want that, okay? So that's kind of this next step here is to kind of do that and then point to the next one, right? See if for some reason something else is going on your system. We've done that, and we'll recreate the text box. We'll delete it, recreate it, and then double check, okay? The next, so that's kind of right here, number 4, number 5. The next one that we're going to do to troubleshoot right here, number 6, is we're going to go in and we're going to check to make sure we don't have some syntax wrong inside of our toggle. So we may be, the bummer here is when we're working with this toggle, if we type anything wrong in here, then it's not going to work. And I have yet to figure out why this occurs, but sometimes you could just do it one by one and it works, but when you do a whole bunch of them, it doesn't work. So I'm not really sure why all that happens. I'm sure it's something I'm doing, but this is the way I troubleshoot it. Let's copy this text here, and I'm just going to open up a notepad to do that. Now, so let's go ahead and open up Notepad, and you can see here where I've done it in a couple other videos. We're just going to go ahead and create a new one here, and we're just going to paste in that data. Now notice here, it's just keeping all the data for me. exactly the way I want it. Then I'm going to go up to this toggle, and I'm going to remove the toggle. And now I could restart with a new toggle, but a lot of times I just remove the text. Okay? Notice now it's set to false. So I may go over here, I may type it, or I may just copy it, okay, and paste it back in. And that's it. Now, does everything look good? It does look good, but why is it automatically hitting true? That automatically sends a message to me saying, hey, wait a minute, did I change some data in that field, or is something wrong with the way I'm doing this? So let's see if it does the same thing with topic name, just as troubleshooting. So we're going to go ahead and go to the second one. We're just going to copy this text just as you see it there, and we're going to go back into here, and we're going to paste it in. Now it turns to true too. So maybe I've changed some of the text. Once I do it once I click save once, we'll know if it works. But notice here I'm getting no red squiggly lines. So I can go ahead and do or, and I can add the next one in. Now I can either copy this or I can retype it, whatever works for me. Oh yeah, everything looks good. So chances are this is going to save properly, exactly the way I want to save it. The reason why I'm so cautious is this, using the toggle save, is a very easy way to copy data over the top of other data. So if you get these data fields wrong and you hit save, you're going to be in trouble. So make sure that you're doing this right. Spend time, do it when you're awake, not when you're half asleep, okay? And then you want to double check that you're going into the right area, right? The right list, and then the right columns, and then the right text into those columns. So that's important. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. So we can save, everything's good, and then you can add fields, one conflict, add them one by one, which we just talked. And then, of course, you can always create a collection and try passing the values via the collection to a list. I'm not going to go into troubleshooting that because the video's gone a little longer than I wanted. But these are just some of the common troubleshooting techniques that you can do with the toggle save, as well as how to set up a toggle save on fields that you want to input data into the gallery. Remember, there's always an option to use a form to do this instead of using a gallery here, and see my other videos on how to just create an edit form here. Remember, edit form right here, that will do this same thing for you. It's just there's some downsides to using forms as well, so I tend to use these galleries more than others. So good luck.